Thank you for being here this evening. We're going to start with the approval of the agenda. The administration recommends that the Board of Directors approve the October 16th, 2024 board meeting agenda. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Do I hear a second? Please.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 I think, yeah, I think Paul,
Vote into the microphone now. What's that? Do you want to re-vote into the microphone?
motion passes
Aye.
unanimously. There we go. Awesome. All right, before we continue, I think we have some greeters. Welcome, come on up. Thank you for being here this evening. If you don't mind, would you introduce yourself, tell us what school you go to and something you're excited about happening at school these days?
My name is Ava Heminger. I'm a senior at Sumner High School. I'm excited to graduate.
Congratulations. Yeah.
My name is Hannah Vaughn. I'm also a senior, and I would probably say the same thing. I'm kind of looking to get out of the state, so I'm excited to do that.
What state do you want to go to? Where do you want to go?
I'm looking at Arizona right now. I looked at California, but I think I'm kind of settling on Arizona.
Very cool. It is warm there.
I'm Devin Higashide. I'm a senior at Sumner High School. To be a little different from them, I'm excited to conclude my club API, our Olympia sale. Right now, we're looking really good, and we're really benefiting from this. So, yeah, it's really good. We're great.
Hey, do you recognize that face from yesterday? Uh-huh. Yeah.
And as a little upside too, like performance was really good. Excuse me. I don't know. I think there was a Google sheet that was sent out, so I believe.
Kevin, did you get slapped on the back?
Yes.
Oh, that looked
Pretty
like,
hard.
like it
Yeah.
hurt so bad.
I had to kind of scream to like my
Yeah.
Demoji who before I started performing. So
Okay.
My name is Caden Talley. I'm a senior, also AAPI, but I think I'm most excited about Tuesdays. Lunchtime, we get nachos. that right there,
This must be
they're
some good
bomb, I
luck.
promise you.
All right.
That's it, I'm done.
All right. Those are good things. Thank you guys so much
Thank
for
you.
sharing and being here this evening. Good luck your senior year.
Thank you very much.
Gotta go check out the nachos apparently. All right, we're moving on to consent items. The administration recommends that the Board of Directors approve the consent items for the October 16th, 2024 board meeting as listed.
So moved. Second.
Any discussion?
I just want to comment and say, kudos to the HR department for all of the paraeducator hires that are on here. That's amazing. I also noticed a few bus drivers, so that's a big change. And of course, there's some other things on here that make us a little sad, but that's okay. Some retirements.
Okay, thank you. All those in favor say aye.
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 Motion passes unanimously. Yes, with heavy hearts for sure. All right, Dr. Tent, do you have any comments this evening?
Just have a quick reminder that ballots are starting to appear in your mailbox, so don't forget to vote. We have a proposition on the ballot. Don't forget to, if you take your ballot out, don't forget to turn it over and look at the bottom, because Proposition 1 is on the back, on the bottom, underneath all the judges that you don't know. So just go to the back on the bottom. Proposition 1, don't forget to vote.
All right, thank you. Board member comments. Anyone have any? We'll start at that end. All right. JB.
Okay. Well, thank you. And thanks everybody for being here. I'm being new. I have all of the wonderful opportunities to have all these firsts in my experiences. So I had a first yesterday, which was coming to the State of the District meeting. And it was really something. So I will try to be pretty short about it because I could go on forever. My husband was like, could you just stop talking about this? But I will start with, it's early, right? 7:30. And as I walked in and I was thinking I was going to be tired, the band greets you. So by the time you actually make it into the school, you are wide awake. And then I didn't know what to expect, but we had booths set up with a lot of the CTE programs that are going on with the kids that um, were there to engage and to talk about what it was they were doing. And there was everything. First booth I stopped by, little second graders from Falls Elementary that were demonstrating their coding skills. And so it was amazing to watch these little second graders and demonstrate how they had these little robots that could move just how they wanted them to, stop where they wanted them to, play music, and how proud they were of what they were able to accomplish. And one of the things that I think is most interesting about that is what towards the end of my trip around the world there was a senior who was in an engineering class. And one of the things he said, I've taken several of these courses across, my time, and it's like a jigsaw puzzle. Each one's fitting together, and I'm now a senior, and I'm starting to see the full picture. And so I was like, that is so cool because it's not just something he takes as a senior. This is something he's had experience with throughout his journey here at Sumner School District. So I thought that was really exciting. One of the other things that really stood out to me was kind of the diversity of what we had. We had everything from business and marketing to there was a simulator on how to drive forklifts. There was a cow that you could inseminate. Actually, I learned that it's not a cow, it's a heifer. So I was able to inseminate a heifer. You work up quite an appetite doing that, I tell you. And fortunately, we had our culinary arts people that were there, and they served us a delicious breakfast. So I can't express how really impressive it was. The number one thing that I walked away with was the passion that each one of these students had for what it was they were doing. And all of them were thinking about how they were going to use this in the future. So that's really interesting, how they were either going to continue their education or how they were going to. I talked to a great, I guess, cadet in ROTC, and Cadet Love, and he was so great about that program. Told me all about it because I was new to that, and he talked about the leadership opportunities, the family that group was, how they met after school to tutor each other. So it just really creating, spots for everyone. And yeah, again, I was really impressed with the passion that these kids had, the excitement they had about their projects, and the fact that they were tying it to their future. And I think that was really cool. So, and then Dr. Dent had a wonderful presentation, and that was impressive as well because she spoke for quite some time without a single note card, with no teleprompter. She called out people in the audience by name, not just their first name, but their last name. You have to know your stuff to do that. You have to know your school. You have to know the people that are there to support your school. So very nice job. Yeah.
All right. You guys all go next. Yeah, the State of the District breakfast was amazing, and getting to see everything that's going on. I really appreciated the cultural displays and performances as the students talked about. It was just really cool to see the different things exhibited. Also attended the Bonnie Lake High School parade, homecoming parade, so the 3rd or 4th annual. And we didn't have rain, which was awesome. And we gave out a lot of candy, and there was a lot of community support there to support that, and a big improvement every year in how big the parade gets, and our food trucks and everything with that took place afterwards was amazing. So it was, very, very cool to see. And I did want to give a shout out to somebody who left us a nice present up here. These are very pretty. Thank you very much. Remind us that it's nice and fall like outside. Yeah, thank you.
Thanks, Kevin. Bill?
The activity yesterday morning was fantastic, and it was great to see the kids and the things they did. I'm going to go a little bit different direction. I received a call Tuesday of this week. Student that was at Sumner High School 12 to 15 years ago. I'd give the exact date, but I've gotten old and who can keep track, right? Um, he kind of looked me up, and this was a young man that had tons of challenges in his life, home life, choices he made, lots of things. And we got down to senior year, and there was no way he was going to graduate. And a group of adults got around him and looked at all the options. We got him into the Washington Youth Academy, and he successfully completed that, got tons of credits because of how hard he worked, and then came back and worked triple overtime, and we got to the finish line, which was great. The reason he called is he wanted to thank all the adults who did not give up on him. Because the cool part would be it was a great life afterwards, no problems. He learned all of his lessons and moved on. But he said he did have challenges. But every time he reached into those challenges and tried to figure out what do I do next, he said, I remembered people didn't give up on me. I remembered campus safety officers, teachers, counselors. He said, I even had one of the lunch ladies who would chew my butt if I told her I didn't have things done in time. So it was just so cool to hear that the impact, how not giving up, which Dr. Dent talks about a ton, has impacted this young man. He is being successful. He is going through some programs to help him stay successful, but he really kept coming back to all the adults who just would not let him fail. And it was truly inspiring. So cool.
I really can't follow Bill, so I'm going to pass it back to you. Thanks, Aaron.
All right, sounds good. All right, thank you for those comments. Lots and lots of good things happening right now, and I know a lot of people are working really hard getting this year off the ground. We're in that October phase where the honeymoon period is a little bit over, right? We're up and running, and so just on the behalf of the board, just thank you to everyone who's working so hard on behalf of kids. We appreciate it. All right, David, we're up for audience comments. Would you like to kick us off?
Absolutely. Thank you. As we move into audience comment portion of the meeting, the board recognizes the value of public comment on education issues and the importance of involving members of the public in its meetings. Comments from the public are taken under board advisement and may or may not receive action at a future meeting. Topics including charges or complaints against employees, employment or dismissal of personnel, acquisition of real estate, lawyer-client relationships, campaigning, and parameters for negotiations should not be discussed in audience comments. Other information, questions, or problems can usually be addressed by district staff. The audience comment period will end when all registered speakers have been heard. We ask that everyone adhere and understand the following guidelines. In order to maintain respect for all points of view, the school board requests no clapping, booing, or any other form of support or non-support be used. The board will not respond to comments, but will take them under advisement. Speakers should be courteous and professional. Refrain from using profanity, vulgar language, threatening, or defamatory comments. As a reminder, individuals are not permitted to name a specific staff member, board member, or student during public comments. Failure to do so may result in the board president or designee interrupting or ending the comment. Remember that your words have impact, and you, not the school district, are responsible for your words. We caution all speakers that it is possible that your statements could violate the rights of others under various laws, including laws protecting privacy and laws prohibiting defamation. If you're unsure of the legal effect of your remarks, you can seek legal independent advice. In any case, we ask that you help us model for our students what a respectful and inclusive community looks and sounds like. The process is as follows. Speakers who registered by noon yesterday will be heard. Those providing in-person public comment will come to the podium and state your name when your name is called. Address your comments to the school board as a whole, and individuals have 3 minutes to speak and may not cede or give their time to another speaker. I will signal speakers when 1 minute remains. Our first audience comment is Isaac Kim. Isaac? All right. Our next audience comment is Terry McCoy.
Good evening, Dr. Dent and board directors. My name is Terry McCoy, and here I am again to say thank you and to say, what about? Tonight, I want to thank the superintendent and directors for their efforts to be part of the process of student success in the world of academics in our district. Last week's study session revealed a wealth of information, statistics, graphs, references to plans and policies, and comparisons across our district, county, and state, where we fit and why. As I've been studying our Washington State Constitution, Article 9, Sections 1 through 5 about education, I'm beginning to understand the difference between talking about the system, which is the structure of school government, and talking about the people, whether it's kids, parents, teachers, the board, etc. The Constitution makes references to stakeholders regarding education. We are all stakeholders. A stakeholder has an interest or a concern in whatever they are a stakeholder in. There are many stakeholders in our education system: teachers, parents, counselors, children, business owners, voters, lawmakers. You get the idea. Who doesn't have an interest or a concern for what kids are being taught or not? When I make an audience comment, am I a stakeholder advocating for the kids, or am I addressing the system? Does the board hear me talking about the kids, or do they hear me talking about the system? Do you see how this possibly can create conflict? When I make an audience comment, am I a stakeholder advocating for the kids, for their personhood, or am I addressing the system, for example, a policy? When I make an audience comment, am I a stakeholder advocating for the kids, or am I addressing the system? Does the school board hear that I am for them as a person, not against them as a person, even if I don't always agree with the policies they pass that make the system work, but do they always benefit the academic success or well-being of the children? And who decides? And who defines the terms? According to the Washington State Constitution, who has more authority, the school superintendent or parents? Does the school board, school attorney, WASDA, or OSPI have more or less authority than parents? What about the legislature? In conclusion, who has the most authority, duty, or power in the lives of school children according to the Washington State Constitution? Who is the primary stakeholder in the well-being and education of a child? Is it the parent, or is it something or someone else? Thanks.
Thank you. That ends our audience comments this evening.
Thank you. This brings us to business matters. The administration recommends the board approve resolution 01-2425, certification of the excess property taxes to be levied in 2024 and collected in 2025 for the district's general fund, capital projects fund, and debt service fund. Do I have a motion to approve this recommendation?
So moved.
Do I hear a second?
Second?
Any discussion?
No discussion, but I think we do this once a year, and it since it has to do with taxes and that sort of thing. Dr. Dent, could you walk us through kind of what it is this is about for people listening at home?
Well, you know, before she retires, we're going to put her to work, right? So come on up, Bing.
Thanks for the question. It gave me an opportunity to explain a little bit more why we're doing it every year. So when we prepare the budget or develop the budget, even right now, best guess. Everything's best guess. All the assess value is best guess. So when we prepare budget, we said we're going to collect 31 million. But come to this point, we see the preliminary assess value. We think that we may surpass that number. So we would like the board allow us to collect, the taxpayers allow us to approve that tax collection. So another things we would say that this is the maximize the revenue for the district. And we deserve that because that's how many kids, that's how much we can collect. We don't want to leave any money on the table.
So the taxpayers have authorized X amount.
Yep.
We've maybe budgeted below that so that we're
Right.
being
We
conservative,
always do.
being fiscally responsible.
Yes.
And then as we get our head count done and we start to understand what we're going to need to spend that year, maybe if
Right.
it comes in a little higher,
Yeah.
but still within the parameters.
Absolutely, you
taxpayers have
cannot
given
over.
us. We're just voting to make sure that that is all authorized.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And on the same topic, I want to give you a heads up. Next month, if the bonds pass, we'll come back again for another resolution to ask for not the general fund. Right now it's general fund, but I still present all funds, 3 funds, right? The debt service fund and the capital project fund. But when I come back, I will ask for the debt service fund because you need to prepare some capacity for bond selling. But when I come back, that's a good news.
Yeah,
You want to see me again?
Thank you for that clarification.
thanks, Bang. Any further discussion? All right, the recommendation has been seconded. All those in favor say aye.
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 Motion passes unanimously. Bang, you might as well just stay there. 'cause
Yeah,
you're up for
I'm staying.
presentation. Enrollment reporting. I feel like
Enrollment reporting is
rounds.
October, so that's the time we talk about enrollment after the school open. So right now it's October. We already in 2 months of enrollment reporting. So if you look at what people will ask Lori, how many students we serve in Sumner-Bonney Lake School District? Lori probably will say 10,889 because that's true that we all the students we serve. Now, this include the K-12, means that in our classroom from K to 12, but we also have students running start, they off campus, but they still enrolled to us, and they're still our kids. And also we have some dropout re-engagement kids that is not in anywhere in the classroom, but is our kids as well. They're enrolled with us, and we're paying for their continuous education. And then we also have the tuition-based healthcare preschooler, and it's on campus. We also count them because they are our kids as well. So we serve them. So totally, we have 10,889 head count. Head count, that's from Lori, our superintendent. So now, this is Banks. This is Banks count. This is only K-12 that I'm talking about because that is driven by enrollment FTE, means that annual average full-time equivalent. So even though you have 1 kid, but if they take 2 class, that is 2 class only. The state would not give us 1 kid, $10,000, right? So that's why this is Bank's number. It's only 12, K-12 and FTE. And that's for funding and staffing purpose. So as you see that in 2020, 21, we were very low because that was COVID time. Then it bounced back. Why is like 380? Because we dropped 300 plus kids at the time, COVID. So it come back, it's almost the same level in 2021, 22 compared with the 1920. So then continues on, we have increasement, especially like 2022, 23, we have 173 more FTE, not head count, but FTE. Then the next following year, then we have 55, and now we have 99 kids, FTE. So if you look at next slide, you can see our patterns. This is every month that what the enrollment look like. The October is the highest always, as you see several years, except that COVID reopened, that's totally out of the patterns. Otherwise, normally when we open school, September's kind of the low one, and then October's the highest, and then it will gradually going down back to the September level. If you look at those to the end is June, it's pretty much like the September level. And it's always like that. So when we calculate we're talking about staffing, and that's what we use AAFTE, and that's what we get funded by AAFTE. It's not any month that you capture, it's all average. So this is another programs that we want to kind of have a good look at that. Like for example, CTE. Good job, Aaron. You get more kids, you get more class. So I think kids is really enjoy. You can see that the CTE class. So we have more kids in CTE program, and the ELL drop. It could be a good thing because we have our kids is more proficient in English, so they don't need to stay in that class. So they may exit the program. And special ed, we have another 100 kids come in this year. So it's high, means that you anticipate that more expense for kids. So this is the ALE and re-engagement kids. ALE is their special programs alternative way. Instead of sitting in a class, they have their own way doing online and have plan. Teacher will meet with them and all kind of stuff that Carrie probably can tell you more about that program. So we have more kids in this online program in Sumner High than Bonnie Lake, but totally is 92 by grade level. And then we also have re-engagement kids, only 13 that we get them in for the Great Alliance program. So Dillingers, do you remember Laurie said yesterday? Dillingers is KAs, so you cannot compare with us, right? So where those kids go after they finish their middle school? Come to us, or urban, but mostly to us. We get the most of the kids. And majorities go to Sumner High. Some go to, 50 of them go to Bonnie Lake High. So totally almost 400 kids coming to us. Out of district waiver, we are very limited for these kids, except that those are the kids of our faculty. Then we will get them in because we run out of room. We don't have room for kids. So only whoever was there that we count and they can come back. But for new kids, we have to make sure they have room, make sure we don't accept them, then we have to hire another teachers. Otherwise, it will be very costly for waiver. So we have a lot of considerations on whether we can accept or not accept. Any question? Huh?
It's kind of a simple, brief one. Out of district waivers, you've got new students and then returning students. So if
Yeah.
I wanted a total, I would add those together for 469?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm. A question? Thank you.
Thank you, Ben.
Thank you, Bang. Right. Next up for action, the district or the administration, excuse me, recommends the board approve the 5-year CTE plan and the 2024-2025 Perkins grant. Do I have a motion to approve this recommendation?
So moved.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
Happily encourage CTE. Yes.
Amazing program.
Yeah.
All right. Yep. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes unanimously. We have a few policies up for first reading and information only. 2162, 2410, 3241 in your packets for review. We also have a list of procedures there, 2162, 2410, 3207, 3241, and 3241 F1. For your information, we'll vote on those next month. All right, another presentation, hazard mitigation 2025 through 2030. Brian, welcome. 2030.
Welcome. So I think the last time this was presented, I think Bill, correct me, but I think Bill actually came before the board in 2020 to start off an introductory remark about the hazard mitigation planning process. So I'm going to go ahead and click through that. So there's 3 sections to this: purpose, benefits, and process. I know that you got quite a few documents. You've probably had an opportunity to read through that, so thanks for doing that. I'm just going to give you some really brief highlights, and then I'm off the stage here because I know you've read it. And really tonight is just about introducing that we're starting the 5-year process. The Disaster Mitigation Act started in 2000, and it's really about building community resiliency. So we look at areas of vulnerabilities through our planning process, which takes about a year. There's an equity focus this go around, which is really wonderful. And what it gives us an opportunity to do is to really sit down regionally and look at what are those vulnerable populations, areas of our community that we can attack and look at in our plan. It's an opportunity to establish partnerships in our region, and of course, just making people aware of our preparedness opportunities for disasters. And as you all know, we live in an area where there's a lot of potential hazards with the volcano, Mount Rainier, the Lahars, wildfires, which our communities experienced a few years back, and the list goes on. So this is really important work. Benefits. It does provide us funding. So if the state of Washington were to declare in our region in Pierce County that we are a disaster area, it does give us an opportunity by having this plan to secure funding through FEMA, and then helps us on a recovery basis with post-disaster recovery plans. And then in process, like I said, we are just starting this process. Cheryl Collins and myself will be the district reps in the process. We had a meeting yesterday up in Buckley, and members of the region that participate are fire departments, cities, school districts, and then utilities. So those are kind of the 4 entities that come together in developing our plan. So again, tonight, just a quick brief, couple highlights. We will come back to you later, probably closer to the fall of 2025, and have a proposal that we hope you'll approve. So, any questions? Yeah, you bet.
Thank you. We'll look forward to that next year.
Do you want me to keep on clicking through here? Okay, here we go.
All right. We have another presentation from our human resources team, David, and I think you have a few other people joining you. Feel free to introduce as they walk up.
Well, thank you. It is my privilege to work with a great team. I'm joined with by Robert Gallagher, Shelley Stickle, and Adrian Chacon, and we are just so pleased that you trust us with the only department whose very title reminds us that we're all human, and that's who we're here to support. And so tonight we have a brief presentation about the work that we're doing. So everything we do in HR begins and ends with the same way. All of our work begins and ends with our promise. And we truly do view ourselves as that outer circle of support and protection for the work that is done in every classroom and every department across the district. This is our team, or what our team would look like if we were living our fantasy of being in a Disney animation movie. This team reminds me that you just can't spell humor without HR. So we work hard, and we also I thought that was good. All right.
That was good.
Thank you. This year, our focus goals, we have 2 focus goals that we are using to guide our work. The first one is about evaluation and really improving our evaluation system across the district to focus on growth. And the second one is around diversity and continuing to hire staff that more closely identifies and reflects our students. So our team's going to talk about that. So I'm going to hand this over to Robert.
All right, goal number one. So we've worked with and continue to work with our labor partners to align all of our evaluations to a 4-point scale, similar to what teachers have always had, that 4-point scale. As part of our annual reporting to the state, they use the 4-point scale. So we had multiple scales of 2s and 3s, and so we're now aligning them all to that 4-point scale. We've already worked on the dean, athletic coordinator, counselors, administrators, classified staff. We continue to work on this. It's an ongoing process with our partners we want to finish off the remaining certificated and classified administrators, media specialists, and our TOSAs and mentors to make sure that we're all having those wonderful 4-point scale aligned. As part of that, we also want to make sure that we have rubrics that truly model what good practices look like. And so we're developing those as part of this process for every position in our district. So if you're a bus driver, your rubric will be reflective of a bus driver. If you're in child nutrition services, you will have one that reflects your duties. So we want to make sure that we're setting our staff up for success, and built into that is our growth model. No gotcha moments. We really want all of our staff to be successful and continue to grow. And we truly feel that by aligning our practices and by providing that support for everybody to grow, that we can be very successful in goal number one. And I will turn it over to Adrian for goal number 2.
I think there are bets on whether or not I can actually do this in time. I'm very passionate about the work that we do. And so moving forward, just a little bit more information about our goal 2. Our goal 2, every year we actually reflect and adjust based on the data that we collect. And so this year we really wanted to focus on expanding that a little bit more into 4 guiding principles to support the work that we have. And I'll be sharing a little bit more about each one of these and our efforts for the 24-25 school year. We continue to focus on identifying and removing hiring barriers. This table shows the number of classified positions and openings from last year to this year. As you can see, even though the number of classified positions have increased this year, the percentage of open positions has decreased. Yay. The way to hire staff that reflects the demographics of our communities is to hire from within the community. We continue to focus on hiring from within our community. Last year, we shared information regarding the percentages of our classified staff that live within the community. This year, we actually collected information around our certificated staff. And if you look at that, 83.6% of our certificated staff live within or nearby our community. That is not the norm. It's actually a reflection of people wanting to stay and work for us too. Additionally, we've also been collecting information around legacy staff. And based on the information so far that we've collected, over 10% of our certificated staff also graduated from one of our 2 high schools. And that information is still coming in, but that's where we're at so far. Last year, we shared our continuing focus on pathway development. We continue to develop career pathways for students through our teaching academy, technology and custodial intern programs, and other areas that we're exploring. Some results of the program include hiring past custodian interns as current custodian substitutes. So they felt very welcome and prepared for that position. And then slowly, as we develop them, potentially looking at openings, full-time openings within the district. We are also excited to say that we hired some of our tech interns as well for open positions in the technology department. And really excited to say that we actually hired our first teaching academy graduate from last year as a paraeducator in the district for this year. Yay. And then support staff from diverse backgrounds. We've been working in partnership with the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Department to increase staff training, focusing on personal biases, and when working with families that speak one of our 2 target languages, specifically Spanish and Ukrainian, what are some of those things that you might need to know? How can you communicate better with them? What are some phrases that you can use with them? So just trying to develop that cultural competency within them. We also want to provide opportunities for our current support staff that aspire to become teachers that reflect and know our students because they're a part of our community already. Last spring, we partnered with the WEA Teacher Residency Program for a 1.5-year year-and-a-half-long program that allows people with a current bachelor degree to work towards a teaching certificate in a paid residency program. Our 24-25 cohort members spent the summer in classes preparing them for this year and are already in the first of their 4 internship placements for the year at different levels and different areas. This is specifically around special education. So that is one of the hardest places to hire. So we're building from within. I'm very excited about that. That picture up there is our 2 first cohort members, Jonathan McElroy and Alicia Greenway. We're also excited to share that we've begun partnering with the Education Career Pathways program to support refugees and immigrants find employment as paraeducators. Program students taking courses through Highline College complete 90 volunteer hours at local schools as part of their fieldwork experience as they develop their skills in becoming prepared to apply for paraeducators positions when they complete the program. We recently finalized our first placement in one of our schools this fall with the program. And then just coming back to the data that we previously shared, we added this past year's numbers in there. As you can see, we are still seeing growth. This is a slow process. Every single district is working to increase diverse populations in their staff members. So again, our focus has really shifted to how are we building from within and providing those opportunities for people to reach that next level, or recruiting people that have recently come into our area and helping them to see that there are possibilities to get jobs and removing some of those barriers to get to them. And now to Shelley.
Hi, I'm Shelley. I'm the operations manager in the district, and I am, let's see, we're already there. I'm excited to be here because I get to talk about a couple new systems that we brought on. One of them is Red Rover, which is our subsystem, which has taken place of, I've been in the district for 24 years, 23 of them have been in HR. So I've seen kind of paper, a lot of paper and all this, to systems that we've had for like over 10 years. So our frontline system was pretty old system, and I'm really excited to bring this one on. And the great thing about it also is for the subs. It's app-based, so a lot of the what feedback is that they don't, answering the phone isn't what they do anymore. It's text messages going through the app system. So what's crazy is we are getting more complaints. They are accepting jobs in a matter of seconds versus in minutes. So what we're doing now is when the job goes out, we're hearing more things like, how do we, we're trying to, as fast as I push the notification, it's not there anymore. So it's kind of reverse, where we're now training people up how to keep pushing your notifications, don't shut that off, stuff like that, so you can get the subs, as fast as you can. It's very user friendly, and and I'm also, first time, I'm excited to be here doing this because I didn't print my notes out, so I'm just trying to go up here. Okay, so some of the other things, like assignments and seconds, there's on the operational perspective side of it, there was a lot of manual entries. Like, for example, if we put in something for like 2 weeks, and someone could only maybe take the first week, we'd have to manually change it in the system to try and get sub for the second week. The minute they pick up an assignment, it keeps the other side that they couldn't accept out there, so someone can pick the rest of it up. Like the Monday late starts, we manually would have to change the times so we wouldn't get subs coming in there in the morning. Things like that. It's very user-friendly also with connects right with Skyward for payroll and our leave balances, so it's helping on that side with manual entry as well. Let's see, what else? Oops. All right, the fill rate. This is really impressive here. Just in the last year, and this month, it's been increasing like crazy. You can see, like, even on the teacher one, we went up since last September, like 4.5%, paraeducator almost 12% in just the fill rate. Because people are able to, fill it in right away. The other thing we've been doing is we streamlined our sub process, so if people separate from the district, they can tell us right away if they're interested in that, and so they don't have to go through interview, applying and all that. So we were able to just put them in right away. So that's also helped. The other thing I've noticed is we have been able, because the system is more streamlined, we're able to look at the pool as fast as we can, people applying to jobs. So anytime when they're meet the criteria, we're able to get it. So I've been seeing them come through like daily, where sometimes you might see a teacher sub here or there, once every couple of weeks or something like that. Every day someone's coming through that's getting approved. So that's helping as well. And let's see. Okay, and the other one we've got is Checker. That's the volunteer system. So this is really exciting too, because we had another system that we've had around, maybe 10 years. And it was almost a manual process to put people in. They had to, every volunteer had to go through the HR side. So that took time. Right now they're able to, that's going to be launching towards the end of the month at the elementary level. The volunteers will be able to get approved right on site. They come in the building if they're there that morning for a field trip or something like that. They put in just go to the kiosk, email, driver's license, and then it does extensive even more than we were doing in the past, in-depth background checks. They can be cleared instantly right at the building. And both these systems, while the subsystem is streamlining workload, this isn't adding any workload to that on the building, so that's great as well. David.
So as we really appreciate all the work that they do, and really as we get better with our systems and our strategies, right, you get better results, and it frees us up to focus more on the people. So as we're going to continue, as we move forward, we're continuing to improve our staffing process. Worked really hard with business services last year and made some great improvements. And you can see that those enrollment projections came in almost spot on, which makes it easy for us to work with the staff side. We're also continuing to review our hiring practices around special education classified jobs. As you see, we saw a lot of paraeducators on the enrollment or on the personnel report, and this is going to continue to be a focus. I love these pictures because this is why we're here, right? This is why we're here. And we don't do it alone. We work with all these departments and more. I really couldn't list them all, but listed a few. So we just really appreciate your time tonight. And if you have any questions for us, happy to entertain those.
Thank you. There's a lot. It's a lot of good stuff. Any questions or comments? Paul?
Well, I just have one question. But before I get to it, I do want to say I really like the whole concept of grow your own. You guys highlighted that in goal 2 with all the different, like the teaching academy and stuff like that. I love the intern program that you guys have. But my question also is on goal 2, but it was analyzing and removing barriers. Can you give me an example of some barriers you guys have identified that you think you can tackle?
Absolutely. Want me to handle this? So I'll talk about one and maybe have Adrian talk about another. So some of the barriers that we look at with hiring, we have, so history has a great gravity, and the way we've always done things sometimes hangs like a heavy weight. And we do it because it's always been done. And we have the same requirements for all jobs, regardless of whether or not people might have experience with those same requirements. So we looked at some of our classified positions, and we were requiring some of the same level of application as we were for some of our principal jobs. All these multiple letters of recommendation. And you have people who may not have a work history. This is their first job. And they don't have that same work history as a principal does, and yet we were having that same requirement. And so it was a huge barrier. And so the other barrier that we are finding is navigating our application system. We look forward to, that'll be another system that we will take on. And so one of the things that the team has done is we do local job fairs for our classified, and there we have application support right there, because navigating the system is a challenge and a barrier. Even if you are tech savvy, the system that we have is really a paper-based system that was just translated into technology in an electronic format, but it doesn't really do anything different than the paper format did. And so it's really clunky. Anything you would add?
We also had some requirements that just were really difficult based on the actual positions. So things like English language requirement for that. Well, taking a look at what are some of those jobs that maybe you just need basic conversational English that we could build on and provide some resources or connections within the community for people to actually learn English while they're on the job. Another one was a high school diploma. For some of our positions, what does that look like? Is that a barrier for people in the area that never finished up that would like to, but don't have a job to actually support that work? So depending on what the position is that high school diploma a necessity, or is it something that they could work towards once we bring them into the fold?
I just want to say I applaud the work from working within the community or as close to it as possible. I know in the past, the district did a lot of effort in the area of equity and diversity and reaching out to job fairs out of state, halfway across the country and that. And we would get some great candidates, but they didn't stay because this was all new. They missed their family. They did that. A lot of money was spent and it was the right thing to do at that time. But this is much more sustainable, and I really appreciate you guys work in that area.
Yeah, I don't have any questions, but just two comments. One, I really appreciate the improvement to the volunteer system. As a parent who's navigated that system in the past, even the parents that may not even realize they need to do it. So the fact that you have it, that they can do it on site when they show up for that field trip and the bus is loading and they don't have their volunteer part done, and that this can do it right on the spot, that's amazing. I think that's going to be a huge improvement. I also want to just continue to encourage you on the work you're doing and the improvements that you're making in hiring staff that reflects how our students look. In my day job, I attend a lot of seminars and conventions, and there's keynote speakers, and people are really starting to talk more about that. They're sharing their personal experience and when they went to school and being taught by people that either didn't look like them or did look like them, and how that impacted their outcome of where they're at today. I'm hearing that more and more and more as I'm out in the business world. And I think that's our job as a district, is to prepare students for the business world or whatever they're heading to, and having staff that reflect them, I think, is extremely important.
Thank you.
First of all, great answers to the barriers. I thought that was terrific. Having gone through the application process, it is definitely, I wouldn't be here today if it weren't for the fact that somebody in HR helped me submit the application. So, and I think I'm okay with some of that stuff. The one question I had was with the volunteer program. So I think it sounds great. Is there any concerns or there's history of like somebody who shows up and they're planning on volunteering and they are on site at that moment and for some reason don't pass, and how is that handled? Is there kind of a preparation for that?
Absolutely. So we're still not changing our practice of wanting to have the people approved prior to need, so that if something, we don't have the information, or maybe they don't have all the information they need to complete the application, we're not depending on that person and then don't have that chaperone, right? Because maybe they don't have all of their personal information with them. And so we still want to make sure that they are approved prior to the event, so that in case something like that does pop up, we're not left in a lurch and there's not an embarrassing situation for any party.
Yeah, that was kind of my
Absolutely. Okay.
Any other questions or comments? All right.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right. We have another presentation this evening regarding our capital facilities, an update from Marina Panay. Welcome, Marina.
Ooh, fat fingered. Thank you, Board of Directors. I really appreciate the opportunity to update on what's been going in our capital world. I just wanted to start, when you have the big projects, there's a lot of cool things to show, a lot of good things to share. But when those big projects are done, there's still a lot of work going on, a lot of work. So that's what we're going to talk about tonight, is all the other kinds of projects that have been going on. Playgrounds are a big one. They impact a lot of kids, and we've been very fortunate. We built new playgrounds to replace failing ones at Victor Falls and at Liberty Ridge. That picture there is of the new one at Victor Falls, actually.
I had a moment where I wasn't seeing a component because it's way in the back. And then we also expanded at Emerald Hills and to Holly Heights. You know, certainly in new construction, you're kind of constrained by budget, and those populations both have grown since they opened. And with the help of their PTAs, we were able to expand those playgrounds a bit to accommodate the kids. So there's 4 projects checked off this year. And then a very important one in the district is the generators. Yay! Yes, we now have generators at Crestwood, Daffodil, Liberty Ridge, and Mountain View. So all of our schools have generators. Yeah. Mountain View is completely finished. The other 3, we're just doing the switch over on a phased basis because we have to work around kids in the building, you know. And then that funky little drawing that looks like somebody just had fun with an Etch-a-Sketch is actually the design of a metal building that will house a generator for support services and transportation. Allows us to respond to emergencies better, especially if we have widespread power outages and things like that. And we were really fortunate that we bought the generator as a surplus from Intercity Transit in Olympia. And then we chose to go with this metal building to, again, keep construction costs down and maximize what we were able to do. So very excited for that. That metal structure is in development and manufacturing right now, and it will be assembled and built on site. So then I don't think we'll have a facility other than Eli Hill that doesn't have a generator. So that's pretty amazing for our district. Portables. Everybody's cabins. Okay. If you want to call them cabins, we can call them cabins. I'll change the name next time. Hopefully we don't have too many more of those discussions. We had 7 portables that we relocated from Sumner High. 3 of those cabins went to Bonnie Lake High School, and 4 were placed at Holly Heights. The 4 closest to the building are those repurposed cabins. And we also bought 4 additional ones that are placed on the outside. It was a very great project, and I'm very proud of how it turned out. We were able to replace heat pumps where we needed to, get the repainted so they look fresh and new and will last for quite a few years to come. And then, you know how I feel about HVAC. I love it. So these are also very exciting projects for me. Daffodil Valley Elementary, we replaced the chiller. That is the new chiller being swung into place in that photo. I know these photos are not very exciting, but they mean something to me. We also were able to replace the heat pumps, both transportation and support services. Those buildings are both over 30 years old, and the heat pumps were well beyond their useful life. We had some sweltering people for summer after summer that were miserable working, and I had zero complaints this year. Not a peep. That was amazing. So very exciting to have that. And then a really impactful but small project was replacing a duct heater at Robert Miller Gym, because when that duct heater failed, that meant the gym had no heat, and the temporary heat measures were very difficult. So another project checked off. Really pleased that we were able to do that. And I will say that the duct heater replacement was funded by PSC grant money. So that's really great. Safety and security, there are projects in planning, there are projects in construction, and a pretty much completed project. Substantially complete, I would say. So the transportation gate, that is not an exciting picture. I don't know how to dress it up, but it's really cool. What you see on there now, this is a new gate, but they have arms that will automatically open and close those gates. Working with transportation, we have our access control people putting together their package. So you'll see some really tall poles. That means that a bus driver can pull in, it reads the transponder or whatever, kind of like going through the Narrows Bridge, yes, the tolls, and it'll open those gates for that bus. Why? Because we have bus drivers that are out there late at night, and no one wants to get out of their bus to go and open a gate and feel vulnerable.
So this removes that barrier and provides a great deal of safety. So it's kind of a pilot to see how this works for us, but I'm excited at the progress that we've made. Sumner High vestibule. Sumner High was like the last building not to have a vestibule in their front main building, main office. So we have that now in place, tweaking a little of the controls right now, but all of the construction is in place. And we moved the attendance office over so that when you walk into that vestibule, you can take the care of business with the guidance office, the main office, or with the attendance office without having to go anywhere into the main part of the school. Really great thing. And then diving boards and drain covers. Sounds like a novel. Not really, though. Just necessary things that we're required to do. The drain covers, especially for the Virginia Graham Baker Act, we have to replace those drain covers in the pool. They'll send in a commercial diver to do that work. Kind of cool. And then we're also replacing the diving boards. We looked at resurfacing the high water table. Really don't want to drain the pool right now, so we're going with the diving boards, much safer. And then we are also working with Pierce County to install an emergency siren up at Tahali Heights Elementary. There are no emergency sirens up on the hill. And so this is the first one in partnership with the county. It will provide more than just a Lahar warning. It will also be able to provide other warnings in emergencies. So a great partnership with the county. And then we're also starting the planning stages for our site emergency response storage. And we're going to make sure we're following all the rules, checking all the boxes so that we can do that successfully. Other facility improvements, another one of those pictures that warms my heart but really does nothing for anyone else. These are compressors for the walk-in freezers and cooler up at support services. This is huge. We've had a lot of problems for years. As part of this process, all the condensing units and the compressors are in, so they are running much more efficiently now than they ever have. And we will be replacing door frame and door on one freezer and door on the other freezer, so we can keep those more airtight and give those doors that have worked for more than 30 years a rest because they're kind of beat up. We had a couple projects that we worked with CTE on. Great funding that CTE provided to upsize that compressor for Core Plus at Sumner High School because it just didn't have the capacity for the kids that were in that program. And for getting a full day, started out great and then it went towards the end. So we've upgraded that or replaced that compressor. And then few people probably knew we had a compressor at Bonnie Lake High School. We did, and it didn't operate. Now it operates and provides that air pressure for the Core Plus class at Bonnie Lake High School, and we provided acoustic improvements so that we weren't, interrupting other classes that are placed around that space. So that was a big project. Another small one was replacing the wear washers in 5 kitchens. So another project that isn't very exciting, but really has big impact. We have 2 other small ones that we're in the planning stages on right now. I say small, but they have impact. We have lighting controllers that are about 15 years old that are starting to fail and are obsolete. We can't find replacements that are, replace it with like the same thing. So we're working with our vendors and engineers to come up with the right solution so we can take care of some lighting issues. And then there's some small improvements at Sunset Stadium that we're also in the planning stage on. So, any questions?
Hey, where are we at with the bus wash?
I got bonds today.
That's good. Okay.
I did.
All right.
So,
Great.
yeah, it's in process and it's not on that list, but that is another project we're doing is replacing the bus wash. And I understand that Dr. Dent will be the first to go through the bus wash when it's completed. So we might have to take like a little video of that, do something fun, because that'll be a big, big thing. Any other questions?
Great stuff.
Yes, Paul.
So is this going to be an automatic bus wash or just an area for the people to wash their buses?
If it requires payment and performance bonds, I think it's going to involve some automation. No, it is definitely an automated bus wash. And, you can also wash fleet vehicles with this by changing the settings. So that will be huge for, the fleet vehicles that work out of transportation and of course the maintenance vehicles next door. So that'll be really cool.
That's great because I remember our bus driver have to wash her bus occasionally.
it.
And this is
Right.
this
I
is
mean,
much
that's it.
better.
To watch those bus drivers have to wash the bus.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, just their shoulders. I mean, it's a
Yes.
tremendous amount of work.
Yes.
But this bus wash, I mean, it's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
I was standing in one in Auburn. I was like, we have to get one of these.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we have the space. We have all of the infrastructure for it. So this is a replacement of something that no longer worked. So it's pretty exciting. Yeah. Yeah. It's never worked in the 24 years that I can remember. So I don't know what to say. Yes.
Well, I always noticed when the bus rolled up and it was clean versus when it looked filthy. So thank you.
That's pretty good. I just noticed I made the top step without tripping. Okay, thank you very much. I appreciate your attention.
Thank you. Okay. For information only, you have a report on the public records that have been requested this past quarter in your packet. We also have some board discussion. Does anyone have anything for discussion this evening?
It's not really to discuss, but I'll kick it off since we started down there last time. I just want to say thank you to Kevin for submitting to WASDA our top 10 legislative priorities. Thank you for taking care of that. I think, and Bill, I think at our study session said he'd like to do the legislative role. So that is fantastic. Everything's coming together for a good school board. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Paul. Nothing, Bill? Anything else up for discussion? All right. I guess we'll conclude, but before we do, I think I was sitting here thinking I've done this, gosh, like 11 years, I think. I think this is finishing my 11th year. And I sit through these presentations and it never ceases to amaze me, the complexity of the work that happens here. You think of a school district and you think, oh, teaching and learning happens, which it does. It's amazing. But then when you think of the layers that have to be in place in order for that to happen, for kids to feel safe and to learn and to come to school every day, it really is complex work and it wouldn't happen without the amazing people in this district. So thank you once again for your leadership, for your team's leadership. There's amazing work going on every day on behalf of kids. And after 11 years, it still shocks me. So it's good stuff. Keep up the good work. Just in case you want to see more good work, we have another board meeting next Wednesday in November on the 20th, 6 p.m. right here in the central office boardroom. And we are adjourned.